What's in a game if not to tell a story? The concept of storytelling is one which is very expedient in our modern day. Yet with TikTok, Twitter/X, and other apps, the storytelling capabilities have been condensed, popularized, and changed to an extent to become a bite-sized media novel. The same, to an extent, can be seen in gaming. This last year, Modern Warfare 3 got roasted on the fire with pitchforks for having a campaign lasting only like 3 hours long. Other games ignore stories completely and try to lean heavily into gameplay to make up for it. And although that topic is for discussion for another day, I'd like to talk about a game which doesn't slack on narrative. Oh yeah, baby, we are so back. Elden Ring. Before this game, I had never attempted a Souls game before. Maybe it was because of the challenge and skill necessary, and maybe it was because I was busy playing other games. And maybe it's because they're full price on the store still. Whatever the case, with Shadow of the Erdtree DLC coming out soon, it was a perfect way of hopping back into Limgrave and challenging myself once more. But before we get into the video today, please consider subscribing. Not even half of you that watch these main videos are subscribed. I want to at least get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year, so please help me make that dream possible and consider subscribing. Elden Ring is a game that is contrary to experiences which are overpriced and underdelivered, such as we have seen with certain games as of late. And if the base game is anything to go off of, this DLC, which is supposedly 30 hours of main story, is going to be worth every penny. It is a game that doesn't hold your hand, which is a tough thing for new players who haven't done FromSoft games before. However, when you first open the doors to the opening area, you right away become sucked into this world which is ahead of you. The story, however confusing it may be, is one which at least holds you captivated throughout. The art direction, gameplay, and narrative create a world-building experience which is honestly an unforgettable time in which I haven't forgotten. Sinking in a few hours into this game is virtually creating a small drip into a deep pool of water. And unlike other games that promise content that is large and expansive, but only has an inch of depth within that puddle, Elden Ring does good on that promise, and once again is addicting to go back to this game after not touching it for quite some time. It's just an amazing feeling going back to it and seeing these locations which you now know so well, but to be able to power your way through them, but also to soak in new experiences as you go through. It's not only the narrative experience that draws you into the world of Elden Ring, it's also the mechanics and gameplay which feel so honed in from multiple years of soul development. There's a feeling that happens in some games where you get upset about developers for making a buggy or tilting experience. But with Elden Ring, you know that every time you die, even when that inevitable slip-up happens, when you're fighting the Elden Beast or Melania for the 30th dang time, that it's not the mechanics or fault of the game. Rather, it's the player's fault for messing up. Elden Ring is a game which is brutally honest in the way that the gameplay experience is, and when you begin to accept that it's not buggy or hacks or lag, and it's actually and entirely your fault for messing up, that's when you can push yourself at being better at it. The same goes for that feeling that finally washes over you when beating a boss in this game. In most cases, it's not a cakewalk, and when you see your victory message pop up in front of you, you get a dopamine rush for accomplishing something that isn't easy at all. It's an instant gratification of knowing that you did this, and that you were able to get better over time to finally reach this moment. The different areas within Elden Ring are quite spectacular. Each feels alive in its own regard, from the decrepit Limgrave and its surrounding areas to the south, to the rotten fields of Caelid and the sprawling Great Walls surrounding the Erdtree within the Altus Plateau. Once you get into the areas and its surrounding locations, you notice the differences between enemy types, storytelling beats, as well as just how you feel in the environment. Some feel dangerous, while others feel strangely nostalgic and feel like a place you want to explore more and spend time in. This isn't a gameplay factor, but I love how every time you look around in your environment, you're able to see the sprawling landscape and the deep trunk of the golden Erdtree, either ahead of you or behind you. It feels like you're going on an adventure larger than yourself, and that as you go from humble beginnings to a godlike figure, you grow in power and become an almost notorious person within the land. Not everyone knows you, but as you prove them wrong again and again and progress further, it feels satisfying to have this imagination of having your name etched within history. I think that's part of the appeal as well to this game, but another aspect which I really love is the multiplayer capabilities. Sure, there's certain things that I would tweak within the game to make the experience a little more streamlined and better, but I cannot tell you how much fun it is to rage over high-tier bosses as you and your friends try to complete a playthrough. That's part of the reason why Let Me Solo Her and other players rose to fame from this multiplayer ability, and it's such a treat to be able to see different builds in action with one another, and trying to take on a challenge with people around you. Whether your enjoyment is in combat, the open world aspect, or the story within this game, Elden Ring has a slice of everything if you're open to it, and if you put in the effort to progress. After restarting on a fresh character and relearning so much of the game, I can fully say that this game is truly an immersive masterpiece, an experience which I can never forget. It truly did deserve Game of the Year, and after spending hours and hours upon this game exploring the vast world which it has, and trying out new strategies and ways to beat certain bosses, I can truly say it feels like a new experience every time going back to the world of Elden Ring. It's one that feels nostalgic, but also knowing the greater challenges which are ahead. There's no way to compare a Souls game like Elden Ring to other games, for this game truly is in a league of its own, and it is an experience to relive again and again. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribing, and thanks for watching.